Spooky season greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to another bonus episode of Elective brought to you by the faculty and staff of Hacker/University. Now, it is I, your Hacker/University slasher-in-chief, and that's also the friendly neighborhood slasher enthusiast, Chris, and today I'm joined by our esteemed Dean of the Damned, Jill.
This isn't some high school cafeteria. This is the end of the world.
Now, as we continue through the spooky season, we at Hacker/University want to equip you with all the tips, tricks, and skills that you're going to need to make the most out of the season. Now, this is one of many bonus episodes we're offering for free for all season long to our listeners. And today's lesson will actually challenge all of us to dabble in some research, some strategic planning, really exercise our critical thinking skills, and try new things. We want to be open to new experiences because this week, class is in session on foundations of the 31-day watch list.
Yes, students, this is what we've been working for all year, all month, all September of Hacker/University. It is the 31 Days of Horror lineup. We've been talking about it since August, and it is finally the time for us to set our intentions, make our goals, and press play on some pretty awesome movies for October.
This is a really big deal, Chell, and honestly, to our listeners, I think you all need to just pause for a moment and reflect because Chell has done a boatload of work and put in a lot of love and effort into curating this month's calendar, and it is honestly just such a feat. But not only to curate a calendar and come up with some themes, which we'll talk about here in a bit, but to also have such a level of intentionality in making recommendations and then also curating and collecting recommendations from the rest of a host. Chell, I think what you have done truly is the vision of what Hacker Slash has always wanted to be. So I can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much, Chris. I mean, obviously, it's such a labor of love. It's something I always kind of enjoyed doing with my friends, kind of solo. But when I kind of shared it a couple years ago, people really embraced it and it kind of just became a tradition in Hacker Slash. So thank you to everyone who the last couple of years have really said, heck yeah, I want to do the themes and giving great recommendations. So you guys are all what made it really part of the Hacker Slash tradition.
Hell yeah. And I mean, really just to dig in here, Chell, what was part of the genesis or how did this get started for you personally as you then brought it into Hacker Slash?
Yeah, so I am the type of creative person who I need walls to ricochet my ideas off of. I need guidelines. I need lines to color within or without of. So coming up with themes, especially when I was still kind of a baby horror fan, it was a good way for me to challenge myself of not just watching the same old movies every year, really pushing myself to find those areas I wasn't familiar with. And definitely a lot of times I would get feedback on themes from some of my other friends who were deeper in the horror sphere and kind of, again, pushing me to kind of expand my horizons. I will admit there were a couple times there were themes on there that I put on that I personally would not put on again. I'm not a Giallo fan. I tried it one year, not for me. This year, Giallo is not on the list. It has not been on the list since I think probably the first year I've done it. But don't you worry, listeners. We have a whole slew of various themes for you guys to really dig deep into and interpret in your own way. I mean, some of the ones on there that I always like throwing in there are like gateway horror, which always asks a couple questions each year because gateway horror can be a couple different ways and neither way is wrong.
Yeah, let's be clear though. We're not talking about gatekeeping horror. We're not doing that.
No.
That nonsense.
No,
here.
we don't do that around here. No.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to actually look at, we had a listener pop into our Discord and ask the question, I'm like, let's make sure we're all in agreement here. What is gateway horror? And there's so many different ways to interpret that. One person is talking about, movies that are not necessarily horror, but are horror adjacent that kind of get you into there. Some of the folks look about the classics that really start the relationships. I think Drew threw in, there has to be at least one gate. I think it's fucking hilarious, but I really am looking forward to seeing how creative people get. And I actually found myself as I was curating something that we're going to discuss in a bit, which is our tracker. I was thinking back, okay, what episodes of Hacker Slash could fit in this area creatively? And I kind of held back for some, but okay, for example, The Lost Boys Would you consider that a gay horror movie, Chell?
It's definitely homoerotic. I would venture to guess there are some people out there who maybe had an awakening or really considered their sexuality because of the Lost Boys. I would support it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
my whole thing was like, okay, do I just get like into like really meta Hays Code's definition of what this is, even if it isn't explicit? Then I was thinking like, okay, what about not necessarily traditionally LGBTQ plus movies, but maybe ones that are made by or star talent who is of the community. So there's things like that. And the other thing I was thinking about was like, okay, 1980s. What about movies that are modern but set in the 80s?
All of it goes, especially on some of those, like you talked about, Chris, with LGBTQ plus, the gateway horror, really any of those. I love hearing stories, especially with something like gateway horror. Like, hey, this was my gateway. This was my entree into the wide world of horror. I know I've talked about how Scooby-Doo was that for me. For others, it was Beetlejuice or Addams Family. So we want that. So on those days, if there's a particular movie that really resonates with you and why you picked it, go ahead and share that in the Discord or on social media. Because yeah, we really want this to be a personalized experience, and we want to hear your side of it. This is a very Socratic approach to 31 Days of Horror, and we want you to be a part of that.
100%. This is a place where all are welcome, and we welcome your experiences and your perspectives. So this is not a time we're going to poo-poo on each other's lists or movie picks or anything like that.
No.
We want to get excited about it right along with you. And Chell, obviously we have a couple different places that we can find the calendar. We have it on our social media. So we have it posted on our Instagram. We also have it posted and pinned in Discord. We're going to make sure it's on our website in addition to that. But one of the things that I would love to just highlight are some of the things that you're most excited about with how you approached picking the themes for each day.
So there are some on there that have been there since the beginning. Stephen King. I'm a big King fan, so he's always day one for me. October 1st is always Stephen King Day. I think he has such a nice way of getting you into the spooky mood, spooky vibes. And again, you can go either way. You can go absolutely batshit crazy with Maximum Overdrive, or you can get really deep and dark in with It Chapter 1 and 2. So it's a good way to kind of choose your own adventure from the start and kind of set the tone however you want to set that. One new thing we did this year that I'm very excited about and everyone's really excited about are the host days that we're going to be doing this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us more about that.
In addition to all of these themes, we are making sure to spotlight our beloved Hacker Slash hosts, our faculty and staff of Hacker Slash University. So they're each getting their own day to be featured during 31 Days of Horror. So on October 6th, you can celebrate Binks Day by watching some ghost and paranormal movies. And on any of these days, we have Sean on 1960s or older day on the 8th. Mac is Space Day on the 15th. Chris, we have you on the 8th anniversary of Hacker Slash on the 13th. And of course, we'll be doing some slashers.
Hell yeah.
Yes. And then even some behind the scenes favorites. I will be having my own demonic day on the 20th. We are having Paris, our Scream Queen, for the 22nd. And then rounding out the final week with Nathan and some found footage, and Vero with some zombie movies to really just close it all out. So on those days, keep an eye out on our social medias, on our Discords to see the hosts maybe hanging out a little bit, offering their own recommendations, and just, an opportunity for us all to just have one big, month-long Halloween horror party.
It is going to be such a blast and such a party, and I'm so excited to jump into it. Now, there are a few things to keep in mind with how to best approach the 31 Days of Horror watch list, right? We have tips, we have strategies, there's a bit of a playbook. But for those of you who maybe want to track your progress, and maybe you're not a huge fan of Letterboxd, or fuck it, maybe you are and you just want to see something a little bit more tailored to the Hacker Slash community, we've got something special for you right here. I'm actually going to start sharing my screen. If you're watching a video of this episode, you're going to actually now see our 2025 watch list tracker. And Shell, what this actually does is allow you to do a few different things. One, to get a feel for every single theme and get a little bit more inspiration. Sometimes you read these titles or these themes and you instantly know what you want to do. And others you're like, oh gosh, I got to think about this. And then you have to think about what other movies qualify as this. Folks, we have done And we just wrapped recording on our 412th episode of Hacker Slash. I promise you we have something for every single day on this calendar. And here's what we're actually going to find out now. So if you're following along with me, you're going to have a spot to put in your name. And let's start with today's date. Let's pretend this is October 1st. So when we do this, it's going to automatically jump to the theme for that specific day. Of course, day one, Stephen King. Start with the King. We get an introduction and an overview of A, a little bit of how that theme is connected to Hacker Slash, but also B, just a little bit of inspiration. And from there, you can say, would you like a recommendation? Okay, no things I got it covered. You can then fill in what movies you have and what you're doing. The other option here, you can say, absolutely, let's hear it. So within this, you're going to get a list of Stephen King adaptations that we've actually covered on the show. And some of these are like really big throwbacks, which is hilarious to kind of look back on the history. I forgot we did Pet Sematary. Pet Sematary was an episode we did in 2019 before Mac was even on the show. And he listened to that episode and then came back to me at work with thoughts on that episode. And that was before he started. It was like a couple months before he started. So it was a nice little walk down memory lane to see this.
I love this. This is beautiful so far. And yeah, absolutely with the list. I know I have a few on my list, movies that I haven't quite watched yet. So I haven't really listened to the podcast episode, especially some of the backlogs. So this is a really great way to distill that down.
Let's say you pick one out, and let's say I want to go Salem's Lot. I'll do 2024 because there's so many different versions of Salem's Lot. Have you seen it before? Okay. You can optionally put in some more notes here. Now, the great thing about this is you're going to be able to really assess and kind of dive into this as much as you want or hold back as much as you want as well. Anytime you see a little asterisk next to the question, that means it's required. If you don't see that asterisk, this is optional to you. You don't have to fill it out. It's just a little something fun for flavor and helps you kind of go through the experience that we go through when preparing for all of our episodes. So we'll go through this. Yeah, I've read the book, but I haven't seen any other adaptation. Okay, so we have that. I know what I'm thinking going into it. Have I finished watching it? In progress? We'll come back to this when we're done. If not, we'll hit watched. And from here, you can choose a rating. Let's say I slash it. Again, optionally, you can add your thoughts. Do you want to fill out a full Hacker Slash review? Hell yeah. You then get to go in and pick and choose which of these questions you really want to engage and fill out. You can rate the gore score. This was a 6 for me. Maybe it was a 2 for you, right? It's all subjective. You get to really channel your inner Sean. And you also get to go optionally box by box and really think about, again, the kind of lines of thinking that we go through as we're reviewing and reflecting on these movies. But let's say I hit next. Boom. You survived day 1 of 31. Gets you a little recap, shows you where you're going. And maybe, Chell, like you mentioned earlier, you know the Stephen King adaptations, you've seen these before, but maybe you haven't actually listened to the episodes. Well, I'm very excited to show you that at the end of each page, you're going to get a collection on our website of all relevant episodes that we've covered that pertain to that day's theme.
Chris, I can only imagine this was a Herculean effort on y'all's part, and that is fantastic. I applaud you. That is next level detail right there.
I am so excited for this. I just had to match your energy, Chell. You've been out here cooking with this 31 Days of Horror tracker. I had to meet you halfway on the effort. You inspired me, so thank you. Now, a couple things to note. Our archive on the website only goes back to a certain point. Before we had B-sides, before we had a bunch of other things happening. It's kind of like with our original cast. You can access those episodes and more through our Patreon. So most of them you'll be able to see. I believe dating back to episode 52 is available on our Patreon. And if not, then all those prior episodes are actually released through the Crypt, which you'll get to enjoy more of as a patron.
Yes, and shout out to Nathan for the Crypt and unearthing a lot of those original texts.
It's pretty significant. Now, a couple things here. You may notice that as I went back in my browser, it retained my history. A couple things just to know here. You're going to submit the survey at the end of the month. So if you open this up on your mobile device or on your computer, etc., as long as you don't clear your browser history or don't clear your cache, etc., this should maintain its progress as long as you go. If not, hey, I'm sorry, we're working through. This is a version 1, and I think it's pretty healthy for a version 1. But this is also only part of the equation. when you submit this at the end of the month, we're going to actually tally up some information like how many people did like a first watch of a movie, how many hacks, how many slashes, etc. We'll try to like identify some common trends, how many people picked the monkey because they hadn't seen it yet. There's a lot to dig in there. And then we'll share some recaps in November when we think about how our spooky season went.
I love it. I'm so excited to get some of that sweet, sweet data and see what you guys are watching. I mean, we'll be talking about it, but to kind of come together at the end of the month and be able to say like, holy crap, look at all of these insights and all of these movies that our hacker / university, watch during this time period. I am so excited to see what comes out of this.
I'm really excited too. And as you go on to the next day, again, it'll take you right to the next day in sequence. And it's also going to include any pro tips that we may have. So for example, on this one, for anthologies, watch 1 to 2 segments if you're short on time. They still count. So it's going to also kind of give you some curated sage wisdom. And really, honestly, a lot of this coming from Chell and a lot of the tips that you've given the community over the years on how you can really make the most out of this time and still find it to be a success, even if you don't have as much time to dedicate to it as much as you would want to.
Yes, I love that. I love it, love it, love it. And just the little bits of encouragement just to keep going. And, it reminds you to kind of check in each day, 31 days of horror. We're all here for the same thing. So this is a really great way to kind of just be able to stop at the end of the day and reflect on that.
Again, the bigger part of this, right, is just that community and that connection that you find with each other. So yes, the tracker is here. That's going to be to frame your thoughts and really to collect the scope of your history over the month. But the fun is in the conversation. The fun is in connecting. The fun is in you jumping into the Discord in our 31 days chat and saying how many of you are watching X movie today, or how many of you are picking something that we've covered on the podcast, etc. I would love to see how much of our back catalog people rediscover because of listening to an episode that they found through the 31 days watch list, right? Like that would be really, really cool.
Yes, we'll definitely have to pull the Google Analytics on those, especially if you watch it through the website. So if you ever want to give us like a little shout out through the website, it's always a great way because we can see that on the back end of Google Analytics. So, if you're watching the monkey or listening to the monkey episode, we can kind of track that and kind of see, which of our old podcasts are also getting a little bit of love this season. So we'd love for you guys to do that.
Please drop a comment on there, drop in wherever. We want to know what you got going on.
Yep.
Now, I mentioned that in our tracker, we're going to have some pro tips, but you don't have to wait to climb to every single day to find a pro tip. Chell, you have done a phenomenal job curating recommendations and thinking about what is the essential like starter guide, right? How do you get started with 31 Days of Horror? And I think it's a good practice just to recap the folks on some of the big hits.
It is a marathon, not a sprint, folks. I'm going to out the gate. This is 31 Days of Horror. And how you start and how you finish are both equally important. So yeah, definitely be mindful of that throughout. One of the best things, and again, we've been doing this all month long. We've been putting recommendations in the chat, but our first tip is steal from the pros, man. Steal from the ones who've been doing it. Steal from the experts.
Nothing says it's a recipe for success as much as taking from someone who's already done it successfully, right? So there's that option. We have a lot of recommendations. You've walked the walk, you've talked the talk, you've survived the 31 Days of Horror, Chell. And we have a lot of folks in our community who have as well. So great folks to connect with. Then also being able to just take that list of options that you've gotten from each of these hosts. Great move.
They had some great options on there. Again, their own interpretations of those. Yeah, especially on even you already have something for Binks Day, a lot of Binks's recommendations can be applied elsewhere in the month. So, and yeah, there are some people in there that know what they're talking about. We've got Perfect Organism in there with the creature features. We've got Professor of Perspiration. We've got Drew in there. All of them have these really great wealths of knowledge. And yeah, they are more than happy to give you some recommendations.
Now, another part of this, Chell, is also to just make sure that you're taking it at the right speed. Listen, I am someone who Navy core values, honor, courage, commitment. I'd be fucking committing to a bit like nobody's business. But also, you have to manage the amount of time that you have and the intake that you have. And you really got to make sure that you're doing this in a way that feels good for you schedule-wise.
Yeah, you really need to pace yourself. really be intentional. And I was even really intentional with the way I set up the themes this year to make sure that we weren't doing two like really intense themes back to back, kind of giving, opportunities maybe on Sundays, something a little bit lighter or something that to kind of give you to take a little bit off your chest. So yeah, racking up some of the grodiest, toughest watches back to back on a schedule. I've done it before. When I was still kind of a baby horror fan, you say F it and you just load it up. You watch 6 found footage movies until you get vertigo. And sometimes there are years where, yeah, it was October 24th, 25th. And I'm just like, nah, man, I can't do it. You kind of run out of steam.
Yeah, thank you for, really taking one for the team, Chell, and dying for our sins.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Thank you for really putting in the effort there to learn the lessons. Now, something else that I think is really interesting, especially because we have so much coming up this year with Welcome to Derry, you have highlighted that TV shows count.
I will emphasize it again. TV shows count. It could be episodes, a Halloween episode of a TV show. It could be a spooky show like American Horror Story. That counts, man. That is some good horror watching, some good storytelling. So yeah, and there may be days where you're kind of in a pinch. I've got a few days where I have events in the evenings where it's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to commit to a 2-hour movie after an event. Totally cool, totally fine. Pop on an episode and count it. Honestly, I'd love to see how creative people can get with that.
Something right off the dome right here, right now, LGBTQ plus day or gateway horror. Let's get a Halloween episode, one of the many from Pretty Little Liars.
There it is.
Oh my gosh, Pretty Little Liars Summer School. Their episodes are named after horror movies and it's very like tied into those things. It's fucking great. It's great.
Yes. And I know American Horror Story actually has an anthology series, American Horror Stories. It's an hour or it's 45 minutes, all encapsulated into one. So it's a great way to again, get your spooky dose for the day. With not having to feel like, I got to watch a whole movie.
Now, here's a question. I'm going to pose a scenario to you, Chell. We know that with Halloween Horror Nights being what it is and Terrifier being what it is, Art the Clown walking around the park, I know that there's so many people that have never seen Terrifier who are going to think he's a funny, silly, goofy guy and try to watch these movies this October. So what happens, Chell? What happens when someone is partaking in Terrifier for the first time and you get the infamous hot dog slice with a hacksaw and it's just too much for them? What should you do?
Well, I'm going to encourage anyone who's in that situation to look at their TV remote or their laptop. And you're going to find the button on there that says pause. And you're going to click it. You're going to take a deep breath. And you're going to ask yourself, is it worth me spending the rest of this time muddling through this movie? Or do I want to turn it off? If the answer is B, you're going to click the home button on your remote. You're going to click the little X button in the corner of your laptop. And you're going to turn it off. 31 Days of Horror is too sacred. Life is too short to watch movies or just force ourselves to watch things that we are not into.
Yeah.
It's 100%. Just not worth
This
it.
is a time for joy. This is our spookiest season. Yeah. This is a time for reverence. Have fun. And if this doesn't spark joy for you, fuck it. Kick it to the curb. Listen, I still want to see some hacks on these surveys. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't want to spill the tea on Strangers Chapter 2, but if that was my home invasion movie, I'd be saying some shit about it, right? But don't let it ruin your day.
No, definitely. And definitely balance that. Yeah, if it's a hack and you're having fun with it, obviously keep watching it. But yeah, if it's a Terrifier and your stomach's turning and you're kind of thinking, like negotiating with yourself how you're going to get through this movie, just turn it off. Heck, even go ahead. No one will tell. If you want to keep that secret to you, that's fine. If you want to put that in the 31 days, say, hey guys, I tried this today. Really wasn't for me. That is going to be met with the same level of enthusiasm and understanding and conversation. But yeah, totally okay to turn it off. I've done it. We've all done it. Life's too short to watch movies that we don't
100%. And I think that actually takes us very nicely to the last pro tip that you have, which is just to have fun.
Have fun. This is a fun time of year. It's what we look forward to all year. We've been hyping it up. It's got to be fun. You can't put pressure on it. There's no scoreboard. Yes, we're getting data, but there's no scoreboard. There's no prize for who watches the most or who has the most hacks or slashes.
There's no judgment.
There's no judgment. It is all for fun.
We love a safe space, you know? And in the words of Nicole Kidman, we come to this place for magic. We don't come for judgment. We don't come for harsh nonsense. We just want to have a blast watching horror movies all month long with you. And Chell, you actually wrote a blog piece about this last year ahead of spooky season. Oh my gosh. What a timeless classic, honestly. We're getting great mileage out of that.
Yes, we are. That was one of my first things that I wrote for a Hacker Slash last year. We'll definitely share it in the comments, in the notes of this show. But yeah, all this and more, a little bit more expansion on some suggestions to really make the most of your 31 days. And again, just those reminders. It's supposed to be fun. Turn it off. It's not supposed to be a slog. It's not supposed to be work. It is us being able to just revel in everything that we love about horror movies. And, you know, leading up to the Halloween day. So it's about joy. It's about celebration. If you start putting pressure on it, step back a little bit and maybe think of, you know, resetting and how you can come back to the fun.
And I think that's really the biggest thing to take away here. It's going to be so much fun, and you have resources along the way. One, you're going to have that blog post linked in the episode description for this particular episode. So you're going to have that to look forward to. We're also going to link the video version of this episode just so you make sure you can see that clip of what the watch list looks like, really just thinking about how to navigate this, and maybe you have some other questions. You're also going to have the actual tracker itself linked into this episode. And last but not least, the direct discussion for 31 Days of Horror, where you can join in on the fun and really be with our people. And I cannot wait to see you there. This is our fucking Super Bowl, baby. It's going to be a blast.
This is our time.
And this is our house for our people. And for now, there you have it, folks. It's time to put pen to paper or fingertips to keyboard, whatever you're into, and really start building your watch list.
And be sure to join us in the Discord to talk about your 31 Days of Horror watch list and start swapping recommendations to curate the perfect playlist.
And for now, students, class is dismissed.